Niles Gelman? Okay. Who's from St. Francis in Ashen? Okay. Who's from St. Wenceslas in Millville? Okay. Who's from Festina? All right. Wow. Look at that. All four of us together. One big happy family learning about the Mass. Okay. So what I want to do is just do a couple of points and then we'll go right into it. Okay. So what we're going to be doing tonight is a dry Mass. It's a dry Mass. It'll be the celebration of Mass, but it won't be a Mass. We're going to use bread and air for Mass tonight. No wine or water, okay? And I'm going to go through the Mass from the beginning of Vestine prayers all the way to go and love and serve the Lord. And just kind of explain all of that. Some of it may be review for many of you. Many of you may have a PhD in the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass, and you can tell me how I did, okay? Some of you might be learning a lot of new things. Some of it might be refreshing it, you know. But ultimately, though, it's so great a mystery, the Mass, that it can never be exhausted. Like this morning, I don't know how many times I've celebrated the Mass as a priest, but I was very much touched, again, by God's outpouring of His love and His life in Mass. And there's about 8 of us in Festina having Mass today. Well, right there, God was in our midst and all of that, and then we all had coffee, which is what Catholics do, pray and then eat, right? So, but to begin, I want to share with you 2 quotes about the Mass from 2 very great saints who are very devoted to the Mass, and see what you think about these 2 quotes. So this first quote is by St. John Vianney, who's the patron saint of all priests, and he was a classmate of Bishop Loris, our first bishop in Dubuque. He says this: "There is nothing so great as the Eucharist. If God had something more precious, He would have given it to us." Say that one more time. There's nothing so great as the Eucharist. If God had something more precious, He would have given it to us. That's kind of powerful. Okay. Here's the second one, by St. Padre Pio. "It would be easier for the world to survive without the sun than without the Holy Mass." Let me say that one more time. "It would be easier for the world to survive without the sun than without the Holy Mass." And that's not hyperbole. Those 2 guys actually believe those words that they said. So there's something to it that's going on there. And that's what we're going to look at today, so we can more greatly appreciate what we celebrate each time that we gather. So here's the first couple of things I want to do. I want to talk a little bit about the church building, which is consistent with all 4 of our churches. And then I'm going to go into the actual celebration of Mass, okay? Well, the first things first, I want to say, here's the image I want you to think about throughout this whole time together. Okay, are you listening? You ready? Okay, all right, it's this. The Mass is a conversation. That's the first thing I want to say. The Mass is a conversation. God speaking to us speaking to God, fellow believers talking to one another. Okay? So that's the first image I want you to sit with. The Mass is a series of 3 conversations. God talking to us talking to God, and us as Christians speaking to one another. So that's the first thought I want to put in your ear. Put a bug in your ear. Hope it doesn't bite you, but put a bug in your ear, okay? All right. So here's a couple things about the church. So we're in this nice church, isn't it? Nice church. Yeah, pretty nice. And there are a couple things I want to highlight. The reason why a church is built the way it is to bring us as closely as possible to heaven that we can. That's why church buildings are so different than Kennick Stadium. The purpose of Kennick Stadium is to watch the Iowa Hawkeyes play basketball. Yeah, I know. The purpose of a church is to help us to enter